Wait a minute, so you're telling me that this entire episode was just 1 minute in the Tournament of Power out of the 48 minutes. So that means that we have 47 minutes left. I think I now understand why they brought back Frieza. It wasn't the marketing. It wasn't the fact that, you know, many just love his character. It's because Frieza, when he's around, he makes like some form of like warp in time to where time just lasts longer. For instance, a minute in terms of us, it feels like it's maybe 20 minutes, but in reality, Frieza time, like 15 minutes to us, is like 1 minute to him. So when you look at it like that, it makes a lot of sense now. So Frieza was brought back just for Toei could use Frieza time, revive the meme. That's what they were doing. They wanted to revive the meme, which is 5 minutes. But instead of 5 minutes, it's going to be 48 minutes, which is probably going to last like 50-something episodes, maybe a minute per episode. So, I mean, I welcome that, but, I mean, holy shit. So, maybe we finally found out why they brought back Frieza. But anyways, jokes aside, okay? Jokes aside, this episode... Actually, no, before I get into the episode, let me do a quick correction, okay? Last week, I made an error, and I'm a man enough to admit when I make a mistake, and I want to admit this, and I want to start off and say it before I go any further. I made a mistake, and I called Jiren Jiren, so I just want to say I'm very sorry about the mispronunciation. I am human, I make mistakes, and if I still fuck up his name somehow in this episode review, forgive me. It's something that happened. So I just want to say, I want to point that out. I understand many of you pointed that out to me last week. I didn't realize I fucked up. Just forgive me about that. So I want to try my best to correct that and say Jiren. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I'm saying that wrong still, I guess you'll let me know in the comments, because that's, you know, usually how it works. But anyways, though, with that being said, let's get into this episode review. Okay, so overall, one of the big things about this episode is the fact that the tournament has finally begun. After all of the build-up, like all these build-up episodes for many months now, the tournament has finally begun. We're not just sitting there waiting for it to start or anything like that, like, you know, all the characters have assembled. No, it's not like that. Literally, the tournament has begun. All the fighters are fighting. All the universe is going in, trying to beat the shit out of each other and be the last one standing. And so, overall, I'm just very happy to see how we're finally here. After so much waiting, all that build-up, we are here. We are finally here with the Tournament of Power. And with it, there's just so many characters, and there's just so many unique designs with the characters going at each other. And I mean, obviously, throughout this arc, we're probably going to see reused animation and art. That's just common sense. Because when you have something this colossal in scale, any series that uses, you know, art and animation like anime does, obviously, there's going to probably be some form of, you know, reused parts. I mean, especially when they're on a week schedule, when they're, like, making the episodes back-to-back after every single week. So when you look at it like that, it's obvious that we'll probably see reused animation, which is just something we should expect. But even though there was some reused animation in this episode, I'll be the one to admit that. I mean, especially Vegeta just punching the same dude multiple times in this episode, which was pretty fucking hilarious. I mean, the man was straight up punching the same dude for 1 full minute straight. Like, how many punches can that man take before he probably falls over? Like, holy shit. But, jokes aside, though, basically, there was some reused animation, and I just want to quickly get this out of the way before I get into the really good stuff of this episode, that we should expect this. It's a common thing we should expect, especially in something this big, with just so many characters. It's much easier on Toei Animation, everybody working on it, for them to have scenes like that, because honestly, if they had to have new animation every single episode for every single individual scene, they're going to get behind schedule. That's just not going to work. So, it's just something to be expected. It just depends on how, you know, Toei decides to hide these reused scenes. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, how they use them, how they hide them, and they fit them in there. But, anyways, though, with that being said, let's finally get into some good stuff. So, basically, as we all thought, Universe 7, they're not really using teamwork. I mean, you know, the humans are, Piccolo is, and Gohan, they're working together. But overall, the others, they're like, fuck you, let's go off and do our own thing. I mean, Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, they're going off, fighting their own battles. That's what we expected. We all expected them to go out and do what they wanted to do. You know, fight their own opponent, fight by themselves. That's what they want to do. That's just how they are as a character, and that's something we all expected. Regardless of teamwork being the main point of this, we all knew they were all going to separate and do their own own thing. Now, 17 as well, it's kind of obvious 17 would probably be like that from what we know from his character. The limited information we know of 17's character from the Android Saga, we know for a fact that, 17, he had this personality about him where he definitely liked to fight 1v1. I mean, think about, the entire situation with Piccolo and 17, how they fought 1v1. Or think about the scene where 18 was fighting Vegeta, and, 17's like, you know what, nobody interfere, I'll just sit the fuck back as well, I'll let 18 fight Vegeta, just don't jump in. If you guys jump in, obviously I'll jump in. So, basically, from what we know from their characters, is that they've always been one to have their own battles they want to fight by themselves. They don't want to have anyone to really interrupt them. We've seen this from 17. It's something about his personality we kind of know of. Like I said, limited information, but we know it's there. 18 as well has shown things like this as well, especially with Vegeta in the Android Saga. However, it was very surprising. Out of all the characters, I think, that jumped in to do their own thing, 18 jumping out and then wanting to fight her own battle, I guess it puts her in line with her character from the earlier days of Dragon Ball Z, but everything from what we know from 18's character, from how she's, a mother, to how she cares about Krillin, and they work together and all that, I was just very surprised that, they straight up, she just separated. She just went off and did her own thing. That was probably the most shocking thing about that, and I wonder where that's going to go, but all the stronger ones have spread out, while the weaker ones, for instance, our humans and all that, they are kind of, together helping each other out. So that's basically what's going on there with, Universe 7's formation. While the other universes are kind of doing their own thing, we don't really have the layout of what strategies they're overall using, but they're mainly just having a big battle royale, just going at each other, beating the shit out of each other. You just see how it's very chaotic, and you just have it to where people are fighting one person one moment, next time they're just fighting someone else entirely, because just people keep swapping back and forth with who they're fighting, because there's just so much shit going on, and I mean, no one can really keep track of anything. For instance, like Goku going after Toppo, he couldn't really get over there. Every time he tried to get over to Toppo, someone interrupted him and get in his way or whatever, and he just never got to get over there. Or someone interrupted Toppo and he had his own fight, and then, Goku had to set his sights on someone else like Jiren. He had to go over there and look at him. And so basically what this episode showed us is that it's not really easy to go out there and find who you want to fight, because there's just so many people going at each other at once. Someone's going to come up behind you and just claw you right in the back of the head, and that'll be basically GG right then and there. And so yeah, you got to watch your back, especially when you're trying to have a 1v1, because there really is no true 1v1s in this Tournament of Power. There's not going to be. There's always going to be someone from another universe trying to go for a cheap shot in the back of your head, and so that's what this episode was trying to demonstrate. Now, speaking of 1v1s and stuff like that, let's talk about Jiren real quick. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. If I'm saying it wrong, correct me in the comments below. But Jiren, this man, he's straight up just standing there. He's just standing there. And Goku's looking at him. You just see explosions and all that going on behind them, and just fights and stuff. Goku's looking at this man, and, Jiren looks back and looks at him, and you just see no one wants to approach him at all. Nobody wants to approach Jiren and fight him. Every time someone gets over to him, they're like, oh, fuck that shit, and they back the fuck up. They just get out, because he's that scary. So, what this shows is that the way this is going, Jiren is just being built up. You do not want to fuck with this man. This man will bend you over the table and destroy you. Because, I mean, where nobody wants to really fight him, he's just standing there doing nothing and all that. That's kind of scary, but it also shows that everybody realizes you just don't want to mess with this man. This man will probably instantly knock you off if you try to mess with him, and Goku's not really dealing with none of that. He's like, you know what, I don't care if you're scary or whatever, I'm going right at you, and the man just is trying to get over to him, and eventually, he gets caught, and he's almost dragged off of the ring, which leads him into the situation of this episode. So, anyways, from what we see is that Goku, he's had his first experience of what he should expect from this tournament. Besides people interrupting him, you have it to where there's going to always be probably where like 5 people or 9 people want to come after you and take your ass out. And so you should expect that, especially when you're the one that caused all this. I mean, you got to think about it. Goku is the one that caused this Tournament of Power to happen in the first place. If it wasn't really for him reminding Zeno at all, this wouldn't have happened. The universes wouldn't have been up, thrown under the bus or whatever. This would not be a thing right now. So obviously Goku is going to be targeted. Everybody's going to be going after him. I mean, they recognize like, hey, he's the starter of all this. Let's get his ass. Let's beat his ass down. And so some of them are going around to take out Goku, get him out of the match for, he won't be cocky or have his teammates help him out as well, or, his universe to win. If they are thinking like, hey, look, if we're gonna die, if we're all gonna lose, at the very least, I want to know for a fact that this motherfucker is gonna die first. I just want to know he's gonna die. So that's kind of what they're doing. So Goku is getting ganged up on by multiple people. Most likely, I can see, like, Vegeta coming in or whatever, trying to help out Goku. Not maybe necessarily doing teamwork, but probably just taking a couple of opponents off of Goku because he wants Goku to have a fair fight, and he knows how that is because of his Saiyan pride. I could see Vegeta jumping in to kind of split them up between each other. I could definitely see that. Now, Frieza, let's talk about Frieza for a second, okay? Now that we know Frieza's officially in the tournament, he's on our side, he hasn't swapped sides. I mean, he could flip-flop maybe in the middle of this, but for now, he's officially on our side. He is scheming, but we know he's still on our side. The question I have right now is will Toei give us a full Frieza episode? Now, hear me out. What I'm getting at is I want an episode completely focused on Frieza. Like, just nothing but Frieza fighting his own opponents and going ham. Like, just imagine how badass that'd be. Just seeing Frieza fighting people. I mean, just the perspective all on him as he's beating the shit out of everyone, and you just hear his voice actor talking and just straight up mocking people, beating the shit out of them, kind of beating them to an inch of their life and all that, throwing them out of the ring. I would love to see that. I would love to see an episode completely focused on Frieza, and I really hope Toei Animation delivers that. And it's not just Frieza I want to see as well. I want to see an entire episode focused on, like, Hit. I would love to see that too. Hit's a really cool character. I loved it when he was introduced and all that a while back. I'd like to see an episode entirely focused on him as well. Maybe Frieza confronting Hit. I mean, that would be really fucking cool. Imagine if Frieza confronted Hit and they were about to fight each other. That would be badass. Like, just to see how Frieza would deal with Hit, since technically Goku fought Hit and all that, and, you know, Frieza's, like, near the level of Goku, but Goku's obviously a little bit stronger. He probably has another form or whatever hidden. So, I would still like to see, I would like to see how Frieza would face Hit and go at him. That would definitely be a cool episode. So, yeah, overall, the episode had 2 ring outs as well. We had 2 people get rung out. We had the girl with wings, which I'm very surprised she got knocked out so quickly because she could fly, which, like, damn, like, you'd think those type of characters would be saved for last or middle of the tournament because of how important they are, but nope, they got out. That one of them got completely knocked out, and another dude, which completely was choking Goku and about to, like, suicide himself off the entire ring with Goku. That right there, that man, you know, he almost took Goku with him. Goku, obviously, he managed to make it, but still, Goku, I'm so disappointed in you. Oh my god, once again, the man letting his guard down. Like, does he not realize you're in the tournament of power? There's just so many people here that you're going to get clobbered if you're not paying attention. And this man let his guard down, someone came up behind him and grabbed his ass, and yeah, and so this shows the distinct difference between, like, Toppo's crew, or, you know, Jiren and Goku, for instance. Jiren was able to, like, just dodge those blocks like it was nothing, and Goku straight up can't even tell if someone's walking up behind him about to fucking choke his ass, so just Goku needs to work on that. He straight up needs to work on that, because that is definitely going to be something he's going to need to learn in this tournament. Now, speaking of learning, the next episode preview has something that's very interesting, and I don't really know how to take it, but Goku has a solid white aura. Ki aura going around his body. Now, he's not transformed. He's not Super Saiyan in that scene. He just has white aura all around him. Now, from what it looks like to me is, it looks like he's trying to hold in his ki or whatever. Like, he's trying to block his ki or hold it in, probably to conserve himself some strength for the future fights. That could be what it is, because the way that looked, I was like, it might not be a new form, but it's definitely some form of ki control that Goku is using in that scene. So I'm very curious to see the explanation on that in next week's episode of Dragon Ball Super. So, yeah. I guess that's overall about it when it comes to this episode. I mean, oh, no, there is one thing. God Pad. Oh, my God. What the fuck? God Pad. A fucking God Pad. Like, bro, Toei is embracing memes. Like, that's why I'm assuming they brought back Frieza, to embrace the 5-minute meme. Like, seriously. They have God Tube, and then they have God Pad. Like, they have a fucking God Pad. Like, bro, that is, oh my god, like, just, I like that. It's just, it's funny. I know it's meaningless in the grand scheme of things. It's funny the way that is being introduced in the series. GodTube, GodPad, and all that. I don't know. Just Toei's been on a roll when it comes to certain little things that are just very funny. And that, you know, just make you have a good laugh when you're watching the series. So yeah, that's about it when it comes to this episode. I mean, we did have the other group, like Gohan's group. They tried to fight back, but it didn't really amount to anything at all. But, I mean, this was the first episode and the first minute of the Tournament Power, so we shouldn't really expect crazy things in the first one. We should expect that later down the road, maybe like 3 or 4 episodes in. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.